Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, FA Well Centers. I'm excited today. You'll see that we have a split screen today. I've got Robbie Besner here from Therasage. It's a sauna company. You've heard me talk about a bunch saunas and what you can do when your immune system is feeling depleted, when you feel that cold, flu, COVID, anything creeping in. And you've heard me say, oh yeah, you get this home one where your head's actually sticking out of there and you're like, what does that even mean? What does it look like? So I actually brought one in today. And Robbie, how long have you been working there at Therasage and running the company?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so happy to share everything that we're doing together because it's super fun. I'm the device developer and the co-founder of the company, and Therasage is about 25 plus years old at this point.
Awesome. Yeah, wonderful. So, 25 years Robbie's been in this space. We've personally used the unit for, man, since Dr. Barlow's seminars, that's probably 10, 12 years ago. And, it has been an absolute game changer for us, for my family. And we'll get into some of the tricks, some of the things that you can do with heat, with sauna, with therapy to ultimately get your immune system primed and get it working as well as possible. But then also, what can you do when that time comes? Because we're all going to get hit, whether it's a cold, whether it's a flu, whether it's the next round of COVID, whatever it is, we're going to get hit. So we have to be prepared. And that's what I tell our people every day, Robbie, is that, you've got to put the work in and day out, that consistency over and over. So, hey, everybody. Hey, Kayla, good to see you. Pop down below where you guys are watching from. It's fun, Robbie. We get people all over the country, all over the world. We're getting a lot of Australia lately. I don't know what time it is on Australia right now, but a lot of people jump on this one, and I'm assuming it's right before bed. So, that's great. So, Robbie, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody your story? What really got you into kind of the thought process of heat therapy, and what does warming up the body really do?
Okay, well, the backdrop, it's 25 plus years ago, 27, 28 years ago, the whole Therasage and the concept started really just from my daughter, who had my oldest child. She was in her about 12 to 14 years old, around that age, and she contracted chronic Lyme disease. So when we discovered that she had Lyme disease, I have a medical background, a little engineering business, and a couple other skill sets. I started to investigate what were the most efficient ways to manage her healthcare. Essentially, we had Lyme 25 years ago wasn't quite as understood as it is today, whether it being understanding how prolific, how far it has gotten into the mainstream in terms of people being infected with Lyme, as well as the
I think Robbie cut out there a second. Let's see if he can come back on. So, yeah, he's
okay.
connected. Oh, Robbie, there
we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shows me when we're down for a minute. All right.
Okay.
So anyway, 25 years ago, Lyme was there, but people weren't aware of it because Lyme disease mimics many other diseases, and because there weren't as many Lyme literate doctors aware of the fact that they would even consider Lyme as being one of the potential diagnoses. Lyme might mimic MS or Parkinson's and so forth, and so the patient would. Yeah, so the patient would present themselves as if they had MS, and because the doctor didn't necessarily understand that Lyme could often mimic MS, they would diagnose and treat as if the patient had MS, when in fact they had Lyme all along. And so that's really what happened with us. Our daughter was experiencing female challenges. The technical term is endometriosis. And when we treated her for that, we then discovered, when she didn't heal properly, we then discovered that she actually had Lyme disease, and that was protracting her healing process, as well as now we have, a diagnosis and a challenge. Okay, so we sought out and found the top Lyme literate doctors that were available, and it turned out that Dr. Joseph Biroscano, who's still considered one of the top Lyme guys, who's located in New York. We're down in South Florida, so we would travel every 6 weeks up to visit Dr. Birscano. He would treat my daughter. And we had the allopathic approach. And even now, they use different cocktails of antibiotics to try to knock the Lyme out of the system. And that was generally what was accepted. So then it became very, very clear to me early into the game that even though we were visiting the doctor and we had a protocol and we had a corresponding local doctor that was working with our doctor this was way before virtual medicine or telemedicine. So we were kind of negotiating, managing our healthcare long distance with these specialists. So dialing in a little bit further, it became very apparent that you see your doctor maybe 1% of the time, and the rest you're managing the healthcare, either the individual with the challenge themselves and or the family unit. So it was really on us to figure it out.
Yeah, and Robbie, that's something that we talk about all the time and really try to empower. And so for anybody you out there listening, this is, that's the whole point. And Robbie's going to get to in a second, is that the sauna, doing the different things we talk about are things that you can do on your own, and you don't have to go somewhere, spend lots of money, be treated over months. But hey, what can you do today to get your body working better? And so that's really a blessing what you guys brought in there. So thanks. Go on with your story.
Well, we didn't realize it was a blessing at the time, frankly. When you're in the middle of it, as I'm sure a lot of your patients and people that are viewing today, it's confusing. You're not feeling well. As a parent, you're trying to do the best for your kid, and as the person in this case, our child that's actually got the chronic challenge, they're trying to figure it out too, right? So Absolutely. We're all working together as a unit. But what we do as a company, Therasage, and the solutions and the devices that we make, it's never replacing the practitioner. Nothing will ever replace the practitioner. What we do is just try to create devices that can actually improve the efficacy of whatever protocol that you're employing based on your skills. And so, but having the idea that you can have a device at home, so they come to visit you as a practitioner, as we did with Dr. Birscano, and then we go back to our house, and then we're managing the healthcare. So back to my story. What I looked at was Julia's basic 3 symptoms, and she was expressing pain, body pain, which is very common, joint and muscle pain, very common with Lyme patients. And she was also expressing high levels of toxicity and inflammation. And then again, back to my medical background, I was sort of dialing in which of those modalities or health challenges that I felt that I could add value to. And I zeroed in on toxicity.
Oh, and I think Robbie cut away again. He's talking about toxicity. And so, we know that heat therapy and sauna therapy. Oh, go ahead, Robbie. I was just going on about toxicity a little bit.
I'm going to take us off I'm going to change my feed. Maybe it's my end that's causing this difficulty.
Yeah, maybe just be cutting out there. No, that's good.
Give me 1 sec. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you at least. So yeah, again, the heat therapy is, especially with toxicity, there's you want to talk a little bit about what heat does as far as toxin removal.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, so do you want me to continue with my little story?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I focused on detoxing and then looked at what was available as the most modern methods. So you have invasive kinds of detoxing like chelation, like dialysis, and then there's using some kind of supplement that might cause a cell to purge or a tissue to purge a toxin. That would be chelation. And there are pharmaceutical or synthetics, and there's also natural chelators. And then I discovered that there's basically wavelengths of sun energy that will mobilize all the toxins in your body. That's the infrared spectrum. So in my research, what I also discovered was that infrared technology from the medical perspective was only being used by sports medicine doctors to help players reduce their pain thresholds and expedite their healing process, along with other interventions of sort.
So Robbie, people were not using infrared in the sauna therapy at that point?
Not as we know it today. Okay, so this is pretty modern. I'm going back 25, 27 years ago.
Right.
And so I'm saying in the medical sense, there were saunas available, but not anything like we're seeing these days. And nor the other kinds of technologies that people can just simply find on the internet or on Amazon. Again, our approach has been always a more medical approach. So all of our devices are listed with FDA as Class 2 medical, which basically means that we've gone through a lot of the screening and the testing, and which is very different than even any of our competitors in our space, in the infrared space. It's not qualified, even though infrared is considered an FDA credentialed technology. Saunas are actually in a category outside of what would be normally considered medical. But because we work with doctors like yourselves, practitioners, clinicians, and so forth, we decided as a company to take the highest credentialing road available. And even with that being said, Doc, we actually, our standards are a little higher than even FDA standard. But that being said, FDA is considered sort of the gold standard around the globe as to medical devices and what you have to go through in order to get that credential. So we have gone and done all of that.
So Robbie, is a regular, if you get some sauna off of Amazon, is that more kind of like how a hot tub, you could do some kind of hot tub therapy and be FDA approved, or you just pop up a hot tub and go, oh yeah, now we're blowing hot water around on you?
Well, it falls under a category like a spa type of category, which is very different than a medical device, and that's used in clinical practices with protocols, as we've taken that road. And so we're really dialing it up so that as a company, we're not just delivering what we consider to be a really great device, but we're also delivering the health protocols via you as a practitioner. So when we understand, basically the nature of your patient or your demographic, then we interact with you, give you the protocols that you can use with your patients to improve the whatever efficacy of the protocols that you've already put in place.
Yeah. Speaking of which, go ahead and guys, pop down any questions you have below there for myself or for Robbie about heat therapy, about things that you're doing, and just bring those questions and we'll answer to the best of our ability there. We love having the Q&A. We do a live one every Thursday, Robbie, so it's always a lot of fun. So yeah, go on with what you guys found and when you started looking into.
So we discovered infrared frequencies. I did some research and went out to Asia, the Asian bloc countries, went to China, this again back 25 years ago, and found, and I must have interviewed more than 60 different factories, and I started developing devices mostly for home use. And our daughter had basically started to get some pretty good responses. Her doctors, by then she had 3 or 4 different doctors that were part of a team, and they saw great results, and they just asked for us to start to make these devices for them, for their practices. And really that was sort of the genesis of our company.
Nice. Okay, so Carolyn, she was diagnosed with Lyme in the past, and she asked, "Can I do it now since I'm 77 and it's been over 30 years since she had that Lyme diagnosis?"
Totally. It's never too late, really, to create a healing platform. And as you probably would agree, the body is so incredible in terms of its ability to bounce back. That really you just give it some of the deficiencies, the nutrients, and a little bit of sunlight, which infrared sauna is basically an extraction of sunlight. It's the healing properties of sunlight. And you give that to your body, and it doesn't matter what age you are, young and or old, you'll bounce back.
Speaking of which, Robbie, we've talked about vitamin D, out the wazoo on this page, and people know that it's such an important player in COVID and immune system and everything. Have you seen any difference with somebody that uses the sauna, the infrared sauna, weekly or daily or anything, does that affect vitamin D at all? I've seen that.
Yes, and it also depends on kind of what your end game is or what your goals are. So, for instance, if you have a patient and they're presenting themselves as if they had higher levels of toxicity in their symptoms, then detox would be an important uh, thing to employ, technology to employ. The detox pathways, as you know, there are many of them, or a handful of them. It's sort of a system approach. So we have filtering organs in the body, and then we have these detox pathways, which is like our lymphatic system, or in this example, our ability to sweat, our sweat glands. That's probably one of the most efficient ways to get toxins out of the body is through sweating. And so what's different about infrared as opposed to the other kinds of saunas like a hot rock sauna or a steam room, which you'll also sweat and you'll also detox. But in a hot rock sauna, like the dry Swedish saunas or the steam room, all you're grabbing are the toxins that are in your blood or in your serum. Infrared actually is a wavelength that penetrates seamlessly into your body, and it actually breaks the bonds of where these toxins like heavy metals and biofilms and all the small toxins that are actually embedded in your tissues or actually inside the cell. It'll pull those out. And so they actually measured, I don't know who does these studies, Ben, but they actually did a study where they had one guy who they took a drop of sweat from him from a hot rock sauna, from a steam room, and also from infrared, and they found there was 85% more toxins in the drop of sweat from the infrared environment. So it's very clear that infrared frequencies mobilize more of the toxins in your body.
That's pretty awesome. We had a question there from Lisa. So Brittany is popping down a link below. So we've got a special offer to everybody that's watching our videos, and we're going to be reposting these all over our other pages as well. And so Brittany's going to be posting a 10% off special. And so and go on to that page and look, because it's not just the sit inside sauna that we have, but there's a lot of other wraps and other things that we'll get into. And we've got a couple other questions. Where is a reliable testing facility for me regarding Lyme disease? That's a great question. And Robbie, you may have some feedback on that as well, because you've been in that community. But unfortunately, there's no gold standard for Lyme disease. And I mean, I can even imagine 25 years ago when you guys were looking into that, how frustrating that was. You'd go to your primary care doc and they'd go, oh, Lyme's gone. You'd go to somebody that would look at a blood smear, live blood analysis, whatever. And they say, oh, look, here it is. It's not an easy thing to diagnose.
Well, the challenge is there's sort of what's called classical. They have what's called a bullseye rash that may happen right near the area where the vector, or in this case, maybe the Lyme tick has influenced your body. And so if you're lucky, you'll actually see that rash. And if
I actually had two of those, Robbie, about 15 years ago. I had two bullseye tick bites at the same time. Did 3 months antibiotics. Thank God did not have to go through the whole Lyme disease process. But yeah, that's the number one way that you can tell if you have or have had Lyme disease.
Right, and you were very fortunate because you kind of caught it early. Some people aren't so lucky that they either don't have the rash, or the tick will crawl under your armpit or in your leg, in your sock, or in your scalp, and you won't actually see it. And so you can't really react to it. But you have a small grace period when you have come in contact with Lyme, when the bacteria and the parasite is actually in your serum, it's in your blood. And if you're lucky, and sometimes that could be within 2 weeks to 6 weeks time frame, it goes from being in your blood to going into your tissue or your cell. Now, if you get it at the acute phase, when you've just discovered it and you get that bullseye rash and you hit it hard with an antibiotic, than like doxycycline or something like that, then you'll knock it right out, and hopefully that's that. If you're not so lucky and it actually goes from that acute to the chronic point where it's actually gone into the cell, now you're dealing with a whole different ball of wax. And so there are some good labs. The classical lab is a company called Igenics, and their lab testing is pretty expensive. It's sometimes it's more than $1,000. There's another one that's called Infectolab. There are some really good ones out there these days, but this is the challenge. Your body, when you get a virus, a parasite, any foreign invader, a bacteria, we have a system within our immune system that targets these invaders and creates a whole series of antibodies. Like people are familiar with those words from the whole COVID experience we're working with now. Now, in order by the time your body creates the antibody that can be picked up in a blood test or any kind of test for Lyme, the Lyme has already moved from that acute stage when you can really hit it hard and knock it out to where it's actually now going to be more chronic and something that you might have to live with for a very long time.
And so, Robbie, and it's not even funny, it's sad. I've seen patients come in and they've been taking antibiotics for 6, 7, 8 years straight from doctor to doctor. Ooh, we're going to find that next greatest antibiotic to get rid of this Lyme. And so that's unfortunately one of the things that happen with a lot of people with Lyme disease is, they get on this antibiotic cycle and they think that those antibiotics are going to fix a chronic Lyme condition. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably less than 1% of chronic Lyme has been fixed with an antibiotic. Acute Lyme, like what I had, absolutely, but chronic, unfortunately, that just doesn't happen. And that's where, the infrared therapy and that detoxification and breaking down those barriers around the pathogens, all types of things are going to be helpful. I was diagnosed Bartonella, co-infection of Lyme. So for Lucy, there'd be benefit as well, right? So for people that are dealing with even an Epstein-Barr virus, we're seeing that a lot with COVID, post-COVID infection, as well as COVID vaccine. That spike protein seems like it can stimulate and reactivate these viral infections. I've seen shingles flare up post-infection, post-vaccine. I've seen the Epstein-Barr. What does it do for those chronic viruses? Speaking of kind of chronic Lyme.
Well, first off, I agree with you, and this has been actually our personal experience that once the Lyme moves from that acute stage when you can hit it and knock it out to the chronic phase, or phase 2 as they call it, I don't really believe that antibiotics is a very effective way for a long-term plan. Now, it will work. What it does do is it grabs all the available pathogen that's in your serum, that's in your blood, but it doesn't really address the ones that aren't. And Lyme is one of those smart bugs because what it does is it actually senses a chemical change. When you take an antibiotic, it changes your blood chemistry. When it senses that change, it actually burrows. It transforms into what they call a cyst state, and it like a little ball with a protective shield, a biofilm around it, and it burrows into your short cell and or your fascia or tissue, your soft tissue. And it goes into hiding until it comes out another day. And so there is relief from taking antibiotic regimens, in between if you're very symptomatic. And I'm not suggesting you should just abandon that, but we're talking about a long-term fix and a sustainable fix. And we found that homeopathics and some of the natural remedies are a lot more effective. And also, it's really about building up your immune system. So whether it's Lyme or COVID, it's really what can we do to support your natural defenses? And now you talk about Epstein-Barr and many of these other streptococcus and pneumonia and even cancer cells. All of us have all of that in us. It makes up what's called our microbiome, right? And when we're in homeostasis or in balance of sort, our microbiome, the bacteria in our gut that's used for, let's say, digestion, proper digestion, these these microorganisms live in harmony and have for thousands of years in our bodies. So really what we're addressing is the imbalance when there's a greater population of Epstein-Barr per se and what are these bugs? You know, they're actually, they only have one purpose. It's to replicate, just like COVID. And that's the challenge here. And so a bacteria and a virus, what it does is it looks for a host cell of some kind. That could be your body, or it could just be your blood cell. It could go down as simple as far as that. And it uses your cell or your body's resources, that's to thrive. It basically replicates and it poops. It does three things. Well, when it dies, that dead carcass of a microorganism, even though it's super small, still becomes a toxin. When it poops, it becomes a toxin. When you take an antibiotic, you're killing off these bugs and they're dying. These are all toxins. And so what we discovered, and what I really want to hit hard here in our discussions, is whatever protocol you go to, I'm not sitting in judgment. Some of them are excellent and most of them work over time. But what we're dealing with is the symptom. And the overall symptom is really a function of high toxicity and high inflammation. And that's caused by the bugs doing their thing, going through their life cycles. So if we can lower toxicity and lower inflammation, because both of those sort of travel on the same highway together, then we're getting less symptomatic. Now, that's not the fix. That's just giving the chronic patient part of their life back. And it's
and taking that stress off, right, Robbie? You pull that stress down, and then the body can actually start doing something. And that's why, somebody, they get their blood sugar stabilized. We talk about blood sugar all the time. We have patients use continuous glucose monitors. You get that blood sugar stabilized, you lose 30 pounds, your liver starts detoxifying a little bit better, you do change that microbiome, and hey, guess what? That immune system can actually do something a lot more productive than attack its own tissue like in an autoimmune disease.
Right. And it also gives you, Dr. Ben, an opportunity as a practitioner. You have a little bit more time to actually get down to the root cause and kind of go low and slow to bring these people back. So what we've discovered for the best protocols actually for Lyme disease is actually to do a detox protocol prior to doing anything that might be proactive to go after the root cause as we discuss it. So that's where the sauna comes in. We found that whether it is Lyme disease we're talking about or a general toxicity, and look at the environment we're living in. I mean, you're living in paradise, but even being at an elevation of maybe higher than a mile, right?
Yeah, we're about a mile high here.
Yeah, you still have to have the challenges of a toxic environment, chemtrails, glyphosate in our water, air, and our food now. I mean, these are real challenges that everybody.
Fluoride, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and the toxicity doesn't really have doesn't discriminate. It doesn't say, well, you're economically challenged, so we're going to go after you first. It hits all of us hard. And so back to your original question, frankly, we get toxic every day. So my view would be we should do something to detox every day. And that could be not just sauna. Sauna is a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. But, work with the food plans the dietary aspects.
Sure. There's nutritional detoxification, supplementation in this drink that I drink on every day. And people are like, are you always detoxifying? I'm like, I'm always toxifying, so I better be detoxifying as well.
Exactly.
So we've got another question here from Amir. If anxiety and trauma are held in your fascia, can infrared sauna be used to heal trauma and anxiety since fascia requires heat to heal? Is there a protocol? I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful question right there.
Yeah, I love that.
And, you could probably go pretty deep in that, but let's at least hit the top of, can infrared therapy help release fascia and even that emotional, the Molecules of Emotion, a book probably 20 years ago, great book about how we hold those neuropeptides in our tissue. And there is a physiological, this isn't just some woo-woo question. This is a real thing.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm selling used cars, because every time you ask a question, I'm going to say, yes, we can do this. Because that sauna can actually do so many things. You know, people look at it and Dr. Ben, they're seeing, well, sauna, and there's a free association between sauna and detox. But actually, one of the things, we've developed a proprietary heart rate variability program here, and we measure your autonomic nervous system. And so when you talk about depression and or emotional pieces, and everybody that has, well, we independent of the world, we all have emotions, right? But if you have trauma of sort, or you're dealing with a chronic ailment, there's emotional content that's tied to that event, either personally and or even with the family unit around you, your support system. uh, People think about trauma as being an acute or chronic injury of sort, like car accident, or I fell skiing, or something like that nature. But you can get emotional trauma tied to a chronic ailment like Lyme disease, and depression like Lyme disease, because people get stuck and they can't figure out how to get out of it, and that brings the whole emotional piece in. So about maybe now 4 years ago, we started developing, looking broader than just the infrared sauna as a healing device by itself. And we said, look, I have Dr. Ben sitting in that sauna for a half hour, 40 minutes, something every day. What other modalities can I bring into, and interventions into that system, or that setup, that time when you're dedicating to detoxing, let's say, that will also work synergistically or in harmony with the sauna treatment, that's going to enhance your wellness profile. So one of the things we do is we bring in aromatherapy. So that's essential oils that comes in through your skin, goes like medicine, goes right into your bloodstream. Amazing. We also bring in oxygen therapy like ozone into that tent. Again, another big enhancement for any chronic ailment and any microbial imbalance. Guided meditation is the thing that we do for emotional healing. Now, when you have emotions that are stuck in your fascia, there's actually kind of, they call it quasha, which is a Chinese term for a type of therapy where you take like a device and you kind of scrape it on your skin, and it improves circulation, and it also pushes toxins out from where they're stored in your soft tissue. And so that also releases emotions. And so yep, when these are released, you're cleansing yourself and detoxing on many levels, not just your toxins and the toxicants that are in your bloodstream or in your tissues, but also your emotions.
Absolutely. As well. Two of my favorite home therapies that I do all the time, and my family does. One, our sauna. It's actually I'll post a picture of it later, of our bedroom. Our new pretty white one that we got from you guys is sitting out there in the middle of our bedroom, but is a massage gun. And I'm not sure if you've used any of those, but every night I'm sitting there and I'm going through different tissues, previous injuries, old broken bones and areas, and fascial tightness and all those things. And so, again, not everybody's going to be able to access, we have patients all over the world, but a lot in small towns in Nebraska and in North Dakota and small town Pennsylvania, and they don't have access. But, anybody can go online and get a massage gun and sit there and work on that fascia, get into the sauna, warm their tissue up, use those essential oils, do your oxygen, your breathing techniques, all of those things. And that's the beautiful part about having something. And let me turn it to the side just so people can see, just how small this actually is. So the head actually sits out here. You unzip in the front, and then there's a seat in there. You sit in there. Hands can be out, so you can be reading, knitting, whatever you want to do, and then your head sitting out. And that's the part that I really love about this one, because I don't know if you guys out there have been in saunas, steam rooms, things like that, but it'll be 140, 150 degrees. Really, really hot. And that head, my brain, I've had multiple concussions, and APOE4, if you know what that is, that's just not healing the brain as well as we should. Higher rates of Alzheimer's, etc. And so, I'm pretty protected of my brain. And so that's what I love about this one. The new unit, 170, 175 degrees, Robbie?
Yeah, 170 the top. But you actually
170 degrees.
Yeah, you actually struck a really great note, because there's reasons why I designed this particular portable sauna, and as compared to the wooden ones that people know, like the traditional box saunas and so forth. So when your head is out, your brain is much more sensitive to heat than your body is. And if you're suffering from a chronic ailment, the number one way that your immune system will react to an invader like a bacteria or virus is to turn off the thermostat and raise your core temperature, creating a fever. Now, at around 101.5 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit core temperature, body temperature, there's a natural die-off of invaders like Epstein-Barr, viruses, Lyme disease, parasites, microbes, all of them. They don't survive well. They're anaerobic, so they don't like oxygen. So if we give them ozone treatments with sauna, then boom, we're hitting them where they don't like it. And if we raise the core temperature of your body, which you can do in that sauna, generally, depending on your BMI, like your body weight, mass, and so forth, it may take 45 minutes to get your temperature up there.
Robbie, let me interrupt you. How high do you guys see, like if you go and check somebody's temperature, you know, do a thermometer in their mouth, whatever, how high do you see it actually go? What kind of state are we talking about?
We can create what's called hypothermia, or raise your core to area like around 101.5 to 102. But it doesn't, you can't do this overnight. And I'm also recommending that if you get our sauna and you just start, that you don't jump into the deep end of the pool, that you start off low and slow.
Well, like I do.
Well, yes. And we know that about you already. You're one of those extreme warriors. But if you're fragile, like older, or even
Absolutely.
a young person, and we do have protocols for children, we have protocols for sleep, we have protocols for weekend warriors like you when you want to work out and maximize your recovery. We have detox protocols. These are all what we've dialed in, because again, earlier I mentioned we're about not just getting you a great device, but also showing you how to use it to optimize your result.
Yeah, and so again, Lisa asked about, will these products be available? So we posted a link down below, and if you use F8 Well Centers, 10% off for anything in the store. The sauna is great if you don't have room for the sauna, or if you are sitting at a desk all day. You want to, while I look through some other questions, you want to talk about like the little portable pads and wraps?
Sure. Well, again, along the theme, what we've developed full spectrum infrared. So when people will be investigating infrared saunas or just infrared technology, there's going to be a lot of information about near infrared frequency versus far infrared frequency. What we've done is we've created full spectrum, which means we cover near, mid, and far, all of the frequencies. So basically, whatever your body needs, we're giving it to you. And the sauna is one way we express full spectrum. That's more like what we call a floodlight. You're sitting in that sauna, you're bathing in these frequencies. They're coming from the back, the sides, your feet, in front of you. The infrared healing pads, we call them, are basically like a hot pad, or I'm trying to think what most people they use heating pads. They know what they are.
Or they'll have the things in the chairs, you know, that they put on the back of their chair.
Yeah, and it looks like a heat pad, Ben, but the difference is that rather than being a copper coil that generates very high levels of electromagnetic fields, which have been proven not to be good for you, and particularly not good if you have cancer or if you have a chronic ailment, it just activates the bugs. It actually energizes them, which is not what you want to do. So what we've created was a heat pad, but it has the same technology as the sauna. And so where the sauna is like a floodlight, meaning you're just bathing in frequency, the pad is more like a spotlight where you can bring that love just to a shoulder or to an organ you want to cleanse or put behind your back to de-stress you. There's lots of really great applications, and it's not one or the other. They both work really well.
I love those pads for, you know, people that are sitting at a desk all day, or if you're at a computer, or you know, you're not going to be able to put yourself in a sauna at the office. And so, like, hey, can I keep that, you know, my shoulder, or I just, by the end of the day, I'm getting a headache, and I just, you know, need that infrared in there. And so that goes into a great question here from Ashley. I have a friend that said I could get some infrared lights and set them in my porcelain tiled shower. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. Have you had that question before, Robbie?
Well, we know all about this stuff. We've been doing it for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
so what they're referencing is there are incandescent lights that actually generate infrared frequencies. They're generally the near infrared frequencies, not full spectrum. So you're not getting all of them. These are the same lights that are used in aquariums and in turtle tanks, and in they're the lights that heat up these little lizards and stuff that come from Australia. So that's the same kind of frequency. And it's interesting because it goes back now to the 40s. Albert Einstein did a study where he studied actually the sun's effects on the earth and the thermal effect. And he came out with statements like, without infrared frequencies, there'd be no life on the planet as we know it, both in the plant and animal kingdom. And so what she's talking about is you can actually go to Ace Hardware or Lowe's, Home Depot. You can buy these incandescent lights. They're going to be near frequency. You can get a fixture and you can sort of hang it on the back of your shower wall and sort of create your own little sauna. It's not anything like what we've done, but you can do that, and it's not that expensive to do it that way. There is a company out there called Sauna Space that's doing the same thing that I just described, but they're charging $2,000. Now, they are sending you a tent, but it's really ultimately just a fixture with a bunch of light bulbs that you plug in. So,
you could spend a lot less than that and actually get something that's designed pretty to look at, everything else. So great question, Ashley. And on that, Robbie, would that actually get hot for them? Would there actually
it will, but it won't get as hot. Again, we're creating a tent format that is, sort of all inclusive except for your head. By the way, there's other reasons why besides just your brain temperature. If you have dental amalgams and you're sitting in those traditional box saunas, the metal in your mouth will expand and contract with the heat and the coolness, which basically off gases mercury. So while you're detoxing other poisons, maybe, environmental chemicals or household chemicals, you're going to be creating more toxins just from mercury in your body.
That's a great point. Almost like the billows effect with a house. So same thing happens with a house with mold, is that it heats up on the one side when the sun comes up, and then that expands the air, mold comes out, and then as it goes over, it heats up the other side, and it creates this billows effect. And so same thing happening in your mouth with those metals. That's a great point. We've got a question here from Cindy. Is infrared effective against shingles even post breakout?
Yes, absolutely. Again, it's a viral load. And what's the virus doing? Why are you having a skin challenge or even a pain challenge from shingles? So shingles is just a virus that you contracted earlier maybe in your childhood that has been sitting dormant in your body. And then for some reason, it could be emotional or whatever, your immune system gets suppressed and it rears its head at a later age. And as an adult, it comes out in the form of shingles. So the reason why you're symptomatic at all is because you're toxic and or you have inflammation, and the sauna will lower your toxic burden and lower inflammation. So it's a wonderful adjunct or intervention modality for helping all those kinds of challenges.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see if we've got any other questions. So tell us about Lyme disease, or not Lyme disease, but that was the other question there. Tell us about COVID and how somebody can use this, what it's going to do kind of preventatively, and what that regimen would look like, because a lot of people are preparing for that, and their body's as strong as possible. But I love having people be ready and have their kit. They're okay. This is how much vitamin D I'm going to boost up. This is the NAC I'm going to bring in, and zinc, and all these different things. Tell us about kind of that preparation phase. But then, hey, if I feel that tickle, if 3 people I know that I was at that Christmas party with all came down with COVID, and they're not doing very good, what can you do like at that moment with this device?
Well, I'm sure just like your practice, we get at least 5 to 10 calls a day with that very same question. I'm feeling a little funny. I'm not sure. I haven't done my test yet, but what can I do right now? And the sauna is amazing in that way because, again, it's very convenient. It sets up in about a minute or two, and you can take it down if you don't have space in your apartment, or even if you're traveling, you can throw it in the back of your truck or in your trunk and take it with you. So it's actually something you can do and made very easy to do every single day. And so the broad answer is build up your immune system. You're feeling the tickle. That's already telling you, your body is giving you a sign. And so what do? If you can get in that sauna and start raising your core temperature up, you're going to start beating up on those bugs that are now deciding whether they want to, homestake in your body or find somebody else to host with, right? So what we do is we just tell you you have to drink a ton of water. You take maybe 8 to 10 ounces before sauna. You do that same amount of water afterwards, and that ensures that you're at least going to be flushing out these toxins from your body. We like using binders when we're taking a sauna because the binder, we mobilize the poison or the toxicants. Now we want a binder to help the body get them out.
Like a chlorella or a charcoal, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, activated charcoal, bentonite clay. These are what we call the macro sponge or the big binder. And then we have a nano sponge or the little binder, and that's going after heavy metals, the biofilms, all the byproducts of these viruses and so forth. And that's more like a zeolite derivative or a silica derivative. You probably heard those are generic names. There are better companies than others, but the carbon or the charcoal, anybody can buy that. You can get it on the internet. It's pretty much the same. And that's a really great place to start. So I am one that I believe, and you can mobilize, you said it earlier, when you go and get a massage, when you're doing fascia work, when you're active and going to the gym, when you're going for a run, bike ride, walk, or whatever, you're mobilizing toxin. It's not just going to be mobilized in the sauna. So I like taking binders basically through the day based on my activity. So if I know I'm going to get a massage, and I know when that masseuse is working and pounding out all that stress from my muscle, they're also releasing toxins into my blood. And so why not have a sponge or a binder ready to grab that, take a little bit of the stress off your liver, your pancreas, gallbladder, all your filtering organs, and bind up that stuff and just get that garbage out. Certainly we're taking it in, let's get it out. And I think the broad answer about COVID and any virus, whether it be, it could just be, Epstein-Barr, it could be a normal virus, not COVID. When you're feeling that tickle, just get into that sauna. Again, when we're doing protocols, we go low and slow, but if you're trying to knock something out, we might want to dial up the temperature.
Is that like 30 minutes?
I'm sorry?
Is that like 30 minutes, Robbie?
Yeah, 30 minutes is optimal. Okay. But we have to just temper the discussion because if you're fragile, if you've got chronic challenges, if you're a little older, even though it's probably right to dial it up, we still want to go low and slow because we don't want to, create another little problem while we're trying to solve another one.
Well, and I think that's to the point of don't just wait until you get sick to use a sauna. If you're using it 2-3 times a week on a regular basis and you've started out at 10 minutes, got up to 15, 20, 30, and now you're up to 140 degrees, and for you to dial it up to 160 degrees for that, it's kind of like vitamin D. We'll have people take their 10,000 a day, and then for those 3 days, right when they feel that tickle, 50,000 a day for 3 days, and then come back down to that normal level. So, if you do get a sauna therapy, you want to be using it on a regular basis. And you said you had a great point there about how small it gets down to. It's pretty amazing how small it can get. It comes down into this zipper box in there, and it's about this thick and about this wide. And so easy, even if you're older, not super strong, there's a nice strap on it, and you can carry it anywhere you want. For us, we just leave it up. I've got 4 boys, and they're getting exposed to germs all over the place, and so they know that's their thing. If they feel a little rundown, they're getting in the sauna. If I feel that kind of, but for me, it's my spinal muscles get a little achy by the end of the day. If I feel like I've got a little viral thing coming on, and boom, first thing I do is jump in there. So that is great. So again, check out the link above there, and we've got the We've got the code 10% off anything in the Therasage store, as well as putting that link in F8 Well Centers. All right, Gia Stephanie, you're sold out of the 360. Is that something on the website?
Yeah, we have two versions, Dr. Ben, a regular version and the 360 plus. Over a short period of time coming forward, we'll probably start phasing out the regular version because the 360 plus, there's only a $200 difference in the two units, and we did that on purpose because the 365 plus, which is the one that you have, has the tri-light red light panels in the front, and it's actually $450 more technology that we've marked down to only 200 more because we really want to drive the market to what we believe to be the best sauna.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, you might as well have the best thing. So is that going to be back in stock, or what are we expecting? Is that
well, the 360 pluses are available both in black and white. The regulars for a short time we'll still have available. We will still support the regular version, but we're really driving the market, and the most popular one. I mean, I think we're selling 100 to 1 360 pluses to every one regular one.
Okay, so when she said it was on back or sold out, is that a different product?
Well, she's probably looking at the 360 regular as opposed to the plus
the plus. Okay,
yeah, the
great.
Plus.
Yeah, sauna. So Rusty, sauna dry or steam? Is there any benefit to doing a steam sauna? I mean, is that like for me out here in Colorado, super dry elevation? Does that steam like hydrate at all or anything, or is there really not much benefit to doing a steam sauna?
Well, steam saunas are great. They're ageless,
right?
And yeah,
pour the water in.
Yeah, doing a sauna is better than doing no sauna. But if you have a choice of all three, infrared is clearly and has been proven clinically to be the best in mobilizing your toxins. So you get to elevate your core temperature and bring in a lot of other health benefits. And again, we just make it a very affordable opportunity and very portable opportunity. So mostly people can get it in their lives, whether you live in $1 million apartment on Park Avenue with no space, that portable sauna can fold up, go under your bed in a closet. Or if you have a huge place like you have in Colorado, where you maybe have a basement or a spare room, then you can set it up, leave it up, and basically have it and take it with you on the weekends if you're traveling somewhere. People do this all the time. We've created pretty much a format that you can do sauna every day. And like we get toxic every day, I like to detox a little bit every day. And so I really feel that it's super important that we actually have it as part of our lifestyle, a choice that we make. And there are many cultures like the Baltic states, like Holland and Sweden and all those countries, like these countries and these communities, they've got, and the Ukrainian, like Russia, they like the hot, they like the very, very hot, and then the cold plunges. These are all the same kinds of therapies that are amazing in creating a really strong immune system, stimulating exosomes.
Robbie,
and stem cells.
You muted?
What's that?
Robbie, can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Yeah, double check. It's showing. I'm not hearing you on my end. Let me see. Hold on a second.
Can you hear me okay now?
Okay. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not sure what happened there. All right. Well, actually, Robbie, I'm not sure what happened to the sound. I can't. We can't hear you now.
You want me to relog back in?
Oh, his sound is fine. We can hear you both. Okay, great. All right. So for some reason I can't hear you on my end. So I'm going to have you finish up, and we've got to jump anyway. So Robbie, I'm going to have you finish up kind of Tell everybody, what else you can, they can get, what other benefits, anything else you want to finish up with. If they look at the sauna like it's too big or too much, anything, what would you recommend as like the little, hey, jump in, get started with this one, feel the infrared benefits, and then any closing suggestions you have on the immune system and what to do on a daily basis.
Okay, well, first off, when you buy an infrared sauna from us or any of our devices, we've developed reference guides that you can get with the sauna. It's a PDF and it gives you like best practices and it gives you a starting reference for the first 2 weeks. And then we have a free coaching service that you can go on our website, therasage.com, and you just click make an appointment with a health advisor. That's a team that works under my advisorship. And basically you can take the broad, 130 for 30 minutes format, and we'll dial it in based on your specific symptoms or your specific goals or needs, so that we're again delivering a manicured for your special personalized sauna experience, whatever that be. And I think that that's really important for people to get the optimal experience from using sauna. Well, we've developed full spectrum, so we heal from both the inside and the outside. So the near tri-light red light panels, they actually will help you with skin challenges like eczema or psoriasis or wound healing. They help support mitochondrial health, which is cell energy. It's really important, particularly if you have chronic fatigue, for instance, or any kind of chronic ailment. Generally, you're fatigued. So it'll help with that. And it also produces a transient gas that's called nitric oxide, which creates vasodilation and helps the blood retain more oxygen. The reason why we age is because of oxidative stress. As we get older, our body's ability to hold on to oxygen starts to go down. And so if you can do anything to enhance blood flow and improve blood oxygenation, as we can do with infrared technology in sauna or with the healing pads, man, that is just a winner on all levels. And so, as we said earlier when we first started, this is not replacing your innate abilities and your disciplines in diagnosing and treating me, but it will help whatever angle you come from, whether it be weight loss, trying to improve the potentiating or your body's ability to absorb nutrition. Like, that's good food. If you're spending money on good supplements, you better get your money's worth and make sure that it's getting into your cells and your tissues, right? Same thing if you're buying organic food. Why not make sure that you're getting the most of it? The sauna will help you do that. And also, building up your immune system, which seems to be the number one area where people are actually really very concerned about, particularly with our environment these days. So, doing it once a week is better than none at all. Doing it every day is really what we're going for. I think that once you realize the benefits, and when you're not feeling great, that's sort of a negative spiral, right, Dr. Ben? When you get in sauna, you start to feel good, and every day you start feeling a little better, a little stronger, a little more focused, a little more energy. I mean, once you start doing that, it becomes so important for you to just make it a part of your day. And I think that if we can do that, you and I together, and especially on mediums like today with Facebook Live, where we touch lives, then we teach you, and then you teach your kids, or you see your boys see you in it, and they go, I want to be like daddy, so I want to do sauna every day. And then they'll teach their kids, and hopefully, just like we see in different parts of the world, the healthiest cultures of the world, they all have infrared sauna or some kind of sauna, sweating. They have that in their daily routine. So we think it's super important.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Robbie. For everybody interested in seeing Therasage products, again, a wide variety of different things. Pop that link down below. F8 Well Centers, you get 10% off everything in the store. So, it's a great time to do this. It's not just about COVID. COVID's going to come and go. There's going to be another virus or another bacteria. You're going to get exposed to toxins all over the place. There's potential for chronic viruses and Lyme and all types of different different things that we need to keep our body at optimal. And this is one of those best things that we can do day in and day out. For anybody watching this later, pop those questions down below. Brittany will be monitoring that, and we can get a hold of Robbie as well if there's more questions about, hey, what does it do this, does it do that? And if we can't answer them, we can go to Therasage as well and answer those questions. So thank you so much for your time, Robbie. Love having that. You blessed our people today, and just such a great tool, something that we use day in and day out in our household. And I really encourage you to look into the infrared sauna therapy. So take care, everybody. Robbie, we'll talk soon.
Thank you.